Hello and welcome to the third episode of the Amateur Commentator. I am Anshul and I have with me Somit. IPL 2022 is around the corner and we have started it with a bang with 10 teams participating in the mega auction. We will talk about all of those stuff in this episode, but before that, I would request to all the viewers, if you like our content, please subscribe to it, comment about it, and provide us your views so that we can make better videos and it can be useful to everyone of you. So without delaying any further, let's start. Somit, what are your views about the mega auction which we had after a very long time?
Yeah, this was like the first mega auction after 4 years. And it feels like this might be one of the last mega auctions because we have 10 teams and going forward, I'm not sure when the next mega auctions are going to be. So this was pretty exciting. A 10-team mega auction, the dynamics were different. I believe that the quality, we may see the quality go down a bit since this is 10 teams and initially we may not, the quality of cricket may not be as good as the previous seasons, or it may be pretty good, but from the analysis that we have done of the teams, I feel like the backups are not as good as they were in the 8-team IPL. Now moving forward, I think this is going to be a good thing for the long term. Having a 10-team IPL, it will also give more Indian players an opportunity to showcase their skills. I don't think the quality of foreign players is going to go down because there are a lot of foreign players out there, and in this case we had like 80 odd players getting into the team, right? So that would mean that the quality of cricket would go up from the foreign players perspective, but from a domestic perspective, let's wait and watch. So we had two new teams, and one of them was Lucknow Super Giants. This was their first auction, and I felt they did pretty well in the auction table. I would say that they were one of the better teams in the auction. So let's start with Lucknow Super Giants. Let's review how they did in the auction. Who are the good picks for you? Where do you think they lack in terms of their team?
See, when we are talking about Lucknow Super Giants, they tried to pick a lot of good players which are currently in form. That was something which I felt they were doing. But when we are talking about Lucknow as an overall team, yes, they have picked a lot of good players, but it was apart from playing 11. I'm not sure they have good replacements for like-to-like replacements. And even when we're talking about, they have a decent bowling lineup, decent overall, foreign pace bowlers as well. But I'm not so sure about their middle order batting lineup. And yes, KL Rahul was the captain of the Punjab team last year. He has also led Indian cricket team in few of the matches. I'm not sure how much comfortable I would be when KL Rahul is leading this team, because firstly, this is entirely a new team. There are a lot of different bunch of players who have not played together, and there will be a lot of pressure on KL Rahul, especially when he already knows that he is in the scheme of leadership position in the Indian cricket team. There will be an added amount of pressure for him to perform not just as a batsman, but also as a captain. What are your views?
I guess it's pretty clear from our previous two videos that we don't like KL Rahul as a captain. We are a fan of him as a player, but I don't think both of us rate him pretty highly as a captain. But you said the middle order, you are not impressed with the middle order, but I think they have actually one of the better middle orders in the league. Actually, when we look at the other teams and what they have done, a lot of the teams have holes in the middle order. While they do not have a star player in the middle order, but they do have some pretty good utility players. I mean, Marcus Stoinis, Deepak Hooda, Krunal Pandya, these are good players. These are proven players in the IPL. Hooda, after moving to Rajasthan from Baroda, has done absolutely brilliantly in the domestic scene. So I think they were pretty decent middle order. They also have Jason Holder, right? So that's another plus point. I think that Jason Holder went forward somewhere around, if I remember correctly, it's somewhere around 8 crore or something, or Yeah, somewhere around 8 crore. I thought he may go upwards of 10 crores. So that was a good pick for them. Their bowling looks pretty strong. It's a Avesh Khan, Mark Wood. There is space there. They have a good leggy in Ravi Bishnoi, who I think is going to play for India in a year or two. So it all in all, this side looks pretty good. I think Quinton de Kock, KL Rahul have to be one of the top three opening lineups in the league. And with a middle order of Manish Pandey, Stoinis, Deepak Hooda, Krunal Pandya, there is enough firepower in there, and Jason Holder for that matter. So that's like their middle five. So I think they have one of the strongest middle order, I would say. Uh, One thing I'm like not so sure about is their replacement, which you rightly pointed out. I think they don't have as many replacements like for like replacement, but that is the case for almost all the teams. Uh, I would rate them actually pretty high, 7.5 out of 10, I guess, in terms of their playing 11. In terms of their squad, maybe 7, a bit less, because they don't have good like for like replacement. They don't have upcoming good Indian players in their lineup. But otherwise, foreign replacements are there. Mark Wood, you can replace with Dusman Chamira. You have an Evan Lewis who can play. So I think all in all, good side.
See, I agree on a lot of points. They certainly have one of the better bowling lineups among the other teams. One thing I'm concerned about is yes, KL Rahul and Quinton de Kock, they are a very good opening pair. But when we talk about Manish Pandey, when we talk about say Kunal Pandya or Deepak Hooda, we have only seen him like in couple of matches recently. But these three Indian players who will form the core of the middle order, they have not played a lot of cricket in the recent past. Okay, and even when we talk about their performance in the IPL, especially in the last IPL, Kunal Pandya and Manish Pandey were not in the best of forms. And even when we consider, the record for Marcus Stoinis in the IPL, he has performed fairly well when he is opening the batting, but when he is coming down in the middle order, he has not provided that kind of explosive run scoring opportunities. What we generally see him when he's playing for Australia or when he's playing in the Big Bash League. So that is a bit of concern for me when we are talking about the middle order. And when we know KL Rahul is a captain, I'm not sure whether we'll see him as an explosive top order batsman or we'll see him as someone who will guide the innings along the through. So that is a bit of worry for me. But saying that, yes, they have a very good frontline bowling lineup who will be playing in the top 11, which I can assume. But yes, I do not see a replacement if one or two players will get injured. We are not sure how long the players from the England team will be there in the IPL. Whether they will be there in the playoffs, if at all Lucknow is able to reach to that stage, then they will find it very difficult to replace Mark Wood, or if say for example De Kock or Stoinis or Holder, any one of the three gets injured or they have to leave the IPL in between, it will be very difficult for them to form a playing 11.
So no, yeah, I guess we have talked about the fact that replacements are not that great, but I think that's going to be the case across the board. In terms of when we talk about English players and their availability going forward, maybe not this season, but going forward in other seasons as well, yes, that is going to be a concern. And for that matter, I'm pretty happy that Lucknow picked up a Dusman Chamira. He's a 140 plus bowler. You have Avesh Khan. So there is a ready replacement for Mark Wood when he goes out. Yes, Chamira is not as experienced, but he has improved a lot of late. When we talk about Quinton de Kock, I think Rahul can assume wicket keeping duties and Evan Lewis can open. Again, another left-hander, another good batsman. So they have their bases covered to certain extent when it comes to foreign player. But as I said, Indian replacements are not that great, and we'll have to see how they do. And talking about not having great replacements, let's move to the other new
One
boys,
more thing I would
Gujarat
like to
Titans.
point right
Okay,
here
yeah.
for Lucknow Super Giant is we are talking about Mark Wood because we have seen him bowling in test matches in Australia. But one thing, all the experts and media, when they are talking about Mark Wood, what they are failing to understand is he has not played a lot of 2020 cricket even for England. When we are talking about England as a team, generally we talk about Chris Jordan or Tymon Wills who are coming and playing for them. But Mark Wood has not played that much 2020 cricket. So we are, yes, he has raw pace, but we are not sure how effective he will be in a 2020 scenario because he has not played that many games for England. So that is one another thing which I feel we'll have to wait and watch to be sure for that.
Okay, so yeah, let's see. Let's see how it goes. I guess if we get KL Rahul, the explosive batsman of 2018, I think a lot of their problem would be solved because they're a fairly decent bowling lineup as well. And whether Mark comes good or not, they still have a pretty good, pretty decent attack. Let's move to another team, the other new team, Gujarat Titans. They had Titans on their auction bidding table actually, with the likes of Vikram Solanki and Ashish Nehra and Gary Custon sitting there. Are you impressed with how they bought?
Before the auction, I would like to start from the retention, what they did. I was not impressed with the list of retention what Gujarat started with. Because, see, Shubman Gill is a good pick. Rashid Khan is a good pick. If Hardik Pandya is not bowling, I am not sure if Hardik Pandya is the right person to be interested with the leadership. Leave aside he being part of the side. They have also made him the captain. Now, coming out of that, when I was looking at the squad of the Gujarat Titans, it was difficult for me to form the first playing 11. I was not getting players. A lot of the players, they were. I have to fit them out of the position to form a perfect 11, and still I was coming short because during the last stages of auction, they bought Riddhiman Saha, they bought David Miller. That gave them an option so that I was able to fit those two players in the playing 11. Still, it is very difficult. When you have Jason Roy, who has not scored that many runs in the IPL, when you are talking about Riddhiman Saha or for that matter Abhinav to be part of the playing 11 and batting at the top of the order, when you're talking about Sai Kishore being one of the frontline bowlers in the team, and it was very difficult to form the playing 11, to be really honest, for Gujarat Titans.
Yes, there are some points to which I agree. There are certain points that I don't agree. I think when it comes to R. Sai Kishore, I have huge expectations from him. He's one of the best Indian spinners going around in the domestic circuit. He's a very economical bowler, good left arm spinner for Tamil Nadu. He has played well even this year in the Vijay Hazare Trophy when Tamil Nadu reached the final. Unfortunately, they lost to Himachal. Yes, I agree. There is a hole there in the middle order, above Pandya and maybe a couple of positions below Pandya as well. They opted for Rahul Tewatia for around 9 crore. That was a surprise pick. I mean, Tewatia has done well for Punjab in a couple of innings. For Rajasthan in a couple of innings, but he has not been that good. He is not someone with whom you can bank for 4 overs. I mean, yes, Rashid is there, but if you are looking for another spinner, Sai Kishore will give you 4 overs. But who is their 5th bowler? The bowling attack looks good when we consider the top 4 bowlers: Lockie Ferguson, Mohammad Shami, Sai Kishore, and Rashid Khan. And with Rashid Khan in any bowling lineup, it will look good. But who is going to give you all the other 4 overs? Who are going to be your batsmen who come if a wicket falls early? Now, Shubman Gill is not an explosive batsman. Jason Roy, I agree, has not done well in the IPL, but he is in a fairly decent form. He is doing well in the PSL. He did not get as much opportunities with the SRH, with Sunrisers Hyderabad, where he was last time. But I think I'm hoping that Roy would come good, but I am struggling to actually see them perform well, them going to the playoffs. I actually feel that they may be the first one to drop out of that player position pretty early.
See, I'll not write them off so early, but one thing I would like to say, you are being a bit harsh on Rahul Tewatia. If he's in my playing 11, he would probably come at 7 or 6, and it's not his job to score runs. It's about the people who are like top 5 or top 6 before him. And apart from Shubman Gill, and saying that since it's not a very strong top 5-6, I would say it would be a really good opportunity for someone like Vijay Shankar to regain the lost trust, or if he's again to be considered in the team for the Indian cricket team, it would be a really great opportunity for someone like him, because I do not see a person or any player who will be able to occupy the crease for that long period.
So there are two domestic. Coming to that, the Vijay Shankar point, there are a couple of domestic players other than Vijay Shankar also whom I'm looking to see how they do in this year's IPL. One of them is Avinav Manohar. He's from, I guess, Karnataka. A lot of buzz is around him playing well and maybe him starting as well in this Gujarat team. The other person is a pacer called Yash Dayal. They went for 3.2 crore for him. It's a relatively unknown name. They must have seen something in him to go for him at 3.2. There's B Sai Sudarshan, another domestic player who they went pretty late actually. I guess it was there was a confusion when the auctioneer said that LSG or Lucknow Super Giants have got Sai Sudarshan. So that was, I guess, the last buy or one of the very last buys. They have Varun Aaron. They picked up Varun Aaron. We have not seen him in IPL for a long time, so let's see how he does. All in all, I'm not sure how they will go. As I said, I don't have much expectations from them, but again, that also means that there is an opportunity for them to prove their naysayers wrong. So let's hope for the best. I would also like to see how Hardik Pandya actually captains, because that's something that I've not seen him do in any form of the game. Even in domestic cricket, I guess his elder brother actually captains Baroda side. So let's see how he captains. That is again another thing that I would be waiting to.
One thing I would like to add here, see, when you started about talking about Gujarat Titans, when Gary Kirsten and Ashish Nehra, they are sitting on the table in the auction, I expected a bit more out of the Gujarat Titans squad. Maybe I was let down because they were not being offered a free hand. I'm not sure about the internal dynamics, how the Gujarat team management is handling that thing. But yes, I expected a bit more out of their squad. That was something which was missing from my point.
I actually saw Ashish Nehra speak a lot actually. He was always absolutely on the ears of Vikram Solanki buzzing. So so auctions are pretty difficult in some sense. I mean, you would like to go for a player and then you also have a purse kept aside for him. He goes for a pretty high rate and then it becomes difficult for you to, if you want to consider him, then you have to again rejig your entire dynamics, entire strategy to fit in other players. I think some inexperience showed there. I mean, yes, Nehra was there with the RCB team in the last auction, but there was some inexperience. I felt like they could have gone for better options, considering that a lot of good foreign buys have gone unsold. But again, the problem is not with the foreign buys here. So it's more to do with Indian players.
See, I understand. In the hindsight, it's very easy to talk, but
right. Yeah.
When I am talking about retention, probably instead of Hardik Pandya, I would have gone for likes of either Ishan Kishan or a player whom I'm sure would be available for 14 matches, giving his best either as an all-rounder or as a batsman or as a bowler. Because I'm not sure whether Hardik Pandya will be there for me as a bowler.
Maybe it was an emotional. Maybe it was an emotional pick, considering that it's the Gujarat franchisee, and
I cannot think of any other reason beyond that.
And saying that, talking about Ishan Kishan, I think Ishan was ready to go back to Mumbai, and Mumbai were ready to break the bank for him. We'll talk about Ishan later. So Let's move to the third team, and not a new team. They have been here since the start, since 2008. It's the Punjab Kings, but it's a new look Punjab King. They retained only Mayank Agarwal and Arshdeep Singh, and then they went out. In the marquee set itself, they got two pretty good buys in Kagiso Rabada and Shikhar Dhawan. Then they raided Jonny Bairstow brought in Rahul Chahar for 5.25 crore, which was, for me, it was a good pick at that price point. They went for Shah Rukh Khan. Their team looks pretty good actually. The Punjab side looks pretty good.
I think one of the most important aspect, I would say it was a blessing in disguise. They wanted to restructure their entire squad. That's why they did not retain a lot of players, and they left themselves with a bigger chunk of money to spend in the auction. And leaving aside probably the last 4 or 5 buys, which I felt was compulsion rather than the requirement, I think they have a pretty decent squad. Not just from the playing 11 point of view, I would say, but also they have decent backups. One thing I am not sure about is who will lead the side. We have not seen Mayank Agrawal a lot in terms of leading the squad. I'm not sure whether Shikhar Dhawan will be given the captaincy or whether he will take up the captaincy. But apart from these two players, I cannot see any other person who will be leading the side. What's your opinion about that?
So I would not like to see Shikhar Dhawan lead the side at this point of time. I guess he led for a couple of matches or maybe more for the Sunrisers. I think he's 36, 37. He should be given freedom to go out and express himself. I don't think he should be burdened with captaincy. I think Mayank would be a good choice. He has a good head on his shoulders, and I feel Mayank would be the captain. That's what I feel. So I don't see Shikhar captaining. I don't see Jonny Bairstow captaining or anyone else captaining. Saying that, there's also a question mark on who would open. I think Mayank and Shikhar looked like the choice, but then with them buying Bairstow, I think it will be better if Mayank comes down.
See, for like 2022 IPL, we are not sure where it will held. Most likely, it will be confined to one particular location, and whatever we are hearing,
possibly
it will
Mumbai,
be possibly in Mumbai.
Yeah.
When that is happening, I don't see there will be a lot of difference. Who opens, it doesn't matter. But assuming next year, when Punjab is going back to play in Punjab, Shikhar Dhawan and Jonny Bairstow opening the innings, I would say they are probably one of the top opening players in the entire IPL season. And especially when you talk about Mayank Agrawal and likes of Livingstone, and then put in Shah Rukh Khan in the top 5 or 6, it looks a pretty solid batting lineup. One of the best, I would say, in the season.
So in our last episode, we discussed about Odean Smith getting a gig in the IPL, adding a couple of crores to his price, and he went for 6 crore this time around, and that looks a pretty decent side. When you have a Shah Rukh and when you have a Odean Smith at 6 and 7, there is firepower there. Shah Rukh has done well for Tamil Nadu again, another Tamil Nadu player who has done well in Vijay Hazare. He's going through a purple patch. So yeah, that looks good. The bowling looks pretty decent also. Rabada leading the attack with Arshdeep, Rahul, Chahar being the spinner there. You have Shah Rukh, you have Odean, you have Liam Livingstone who can bowl leg spin and off spin whenever it is required. So they have pretty much covered all the bases.
See, they have covered all the bases. I'm just a bit not so sure about Livingstone and Odean Smith, because they have not played a lot of IPL cricket or 20, and they are pretty new in the scenario. So because we have history suggests that a lot of top class players have come to IPL and they have not been able to perform to their potential. So I would probably still wait for a few games to watch them in terms of how they are able to cope up the pressure. Because one thing which I feel is new Indian players coming to the arena versus new overseas player coming to the arena. It's Indian players are able to fare or adopt to the pressure much better, because they are among the bunch of people who they have already played with, and it's not the same case with the likes of Odean Smith or Livingstone, who have not played with this bunch of people, and it will be pretty new for them, from the conditions as well, from the team management as well, and from the expectations from the side as well.
No, I agree, but I also have huge expectations from Liam Livingstone. I think he's one of the cleanest hitters of the ball in world cricket right now. They also have a good young fast bowler in Ishan Porel. They have a journeyman cricketer in Benny Hall, whom they got at the base price, I guess, of 40 lakh. They got Bhanuka Rajapaksa from Sri Lanka, another good top order batsman. He has been doing well, hearing good things about him. So yeah, That looks pretty. The side looks pretty good. It's a decent squad. What will you give them out of 10? What score would you give them?
See, for the overall squad, I would still give them 6.5, because I still feel they do not have a very strong pace lineup, the Indian pace lineup. I'm not too convinced about Sandeep Sharma when the ball is not moving. He's not someone who I would trust beyond 4 or 5 overs. Ishan Porel is still very new, although he was selected as a backup pacer in the Indian squad, but he has not, got that many chances. So he's still pretty new. Arshdeep, we have seen only in one season. Last season when he performed well, last couple of seasons. I'll still wait some time to judge about Arshdeep. But apart from Kagiso Rabada, I don't see experienced pace bowler there. So that is a bit concern for me. And the captaincy part is something which I talked about. And lack of experience in the overseas. That's why they have covered all the bases from the skill set point of view, to form a diversified playing 11 in terms of coping up with different, conditions. They have decent backup, but they have been untested and inexperienced. That is something which I am not sure about how Punjab will be able to fare. That's why I'll probably give them 6.5 in terms of the overall squad out for their 25. And yes, they have a pretty decent playing 11. So I'll give them probably 7.5 for their playing 11 squad.
Yeah, 7.5 for me. 7.5 for me as well, and maybe 0.5 for Raj Bawa. Going to his, I guess, that's his home franchise, I guess. He's from Chandigarh. He's playing for Punjab. He will be playing for Punjab. Excited to see him as well. So let's move to the fourth franchise, Sunrisers Hyderabad, the erstwhile Deccan Chargers. They have been pretty bad in previous auctions. In the mini auctions, they were in the last mini auction, they were absolutely horrible. Their retentions also, I mean, yeah, it made sense from if we looked at it from a different perspective, but in general, I was not sure about their retentions as well. They went out there and for a long time didn't have a wicket keeper, and then bid for Nicholas Pooran for 10.75 crore. And they had the option to take Quinton de Kock and they didn't. So I am not sure that the team doesn't look bad. It looks fairly decent. The playing 11, in fact, looks pretty competitive. But there are still question marks over their auction strategy, over how they have built a team. They went for 8.5 for Rahul Tripathi. I guess he will be opening the batting. I am hoping that he'll be opening the batting. So yeah, I'm a bit disappointed with how Sunrisers went, considering the fact that they had a lot of money in the bank to start with.
Yes, they had a lot of money to start with, plus add in 18 crores, which they spent for Nicholas Pooran and, Romario Shepherd. I am not sure if, again, I know the auction part is a lot about dynamics when which player is coming. It's a bit about luck as well. But I'm not convinced spending 18 crores for Nicholas Pooran and Romario Shepherd. Yes, we'll see a lot of them when in the India versus West Indies T20I series. Saying that, yes, Abdul Samad is a very good prospect. Abhishek Sharma is a very good prospect. But these people have not received a lot of chances, even in the last season.
Just one thing, when you talked about Pooran and Romario Shepherd, I just read today that 17 West Indies players have gone for more than $11 million in this year's IPL. So the West Indies players have picked up a lot of moolah. Yeah.
I think, it's something about perception, I would say. A lot has to do with that, because even when we saw in the 3 ODIs, India West Indies, Nicholas Pooran is not in one of the best forms of his life currently.
I guess it's more to do with like similar kind of coaching staff here and in CPL and familiarity of players being there. Saying that, yeah, you can continue with Abdul Samad and Abhishek Sharma.
I was talking about Abdul Samad and Abhishek Sharma. Yes, I would expect that one of the two players, if not both, would play for India at some point of time in their career. But my only concern is the limited opportunities which they received in SRH last year. mostly they were coming to bat with 1 or 2 or 3 overs remaining, or they were getting 1 or 2 overs while bowling. So I would like to see more of them, maybe batting a bit higher up the order. Saying that, I would still feel Rahul Tripathi and Aiden Markram, if I'm assuming that those two people will open the innings, along with Kane Williamson, this is a pretty decent and a solid top three. Not the most explosive, but at least there is a solidity there. Uh, saying again, as I said, for Nicholas Puran, even in the last year IPL, he has not performed that well. So
He got four ducks in a row, I guess.
Yeah, so it's like he, even the replacement for him, when we talk about, they do not have a good replacement for Nicholas Puran in the side as a overseas good batsman. So that is something which I feel can come and bite back on SRH's team. Another important aspect which I feel is SRH was one of the team where your experts were not taking the call and bidding the process. That was my perception based on what I was watching. You have essentially Simon Katich, you have Tom Moody, you have Muralidharan, you have Brian Lara, you have Hemang Madani. Probably the best of the support or the management staff of all the 10 teams. And
Yes,
I don't see them contributing towards the auction side. That was something which was not so heartening for me.
Yeah. I guess in the on the second day, I saw a lot of involvement from Tom Moody, but yes, first day I thought I don't know who was taking the decisions and all. They have actually they've got a good core of young Indian players. I mean, Washington Sundar, Abdul Samad, you have Abhishek Sharma, they have retained Priyam, not retained as in they've got back Priyam Garg at his base price. They have Kartik Tyagi, they have Umran Malik. It looks a pretty decent Indian contingent going forward. I guess maybe not this year, but if these players perform to their potential, maybe a couple of years down the line, because Bhuvneshwar Kumar and T. Natarajan, they have taken both these players, but they also have Umran Malik and Kartik Tyagi.
I think maybe they have one of the best Indian fast bowling lineup. If I talk about
I feel,
and
I also
the
agree,
best crop of young middle order Indian players in terms of talent.
I also rate Abdul Samad and Abhishek Sharma pretty highly, and I think Priyam Garg is someone who has a lot of potential. I feel a bit sad that we have not had domestic cricket, especially Ranji Trophy, for last 1.5 years. Otherwise, we would have seen them grow in stature. I mean, I know that it's a red ball tournament. This is a white ball thing we are talking about. But if Priyam Garg would have played for UP for a couple of more Ranji seasons, he would have graduated as a better player. Maybe he was the captain of the under-19 side, so he has leadership potential and all. And talking about leadership potential, also I would say that Kane Williamson is not in the best of fitness right now. He's injured, or he has been injured for a couple of months now. If he does not start the IPL, I'm struggling to see another captain in there. Maybe Markram. Who else? I mean,
I think you'll have to fall back to either Markram or Bhuvneshwar Kumar. I don't see any other option. Yeah, one thing you mentioned about the Ranji Trophy not happening since the last 2 years, but I believe the few of the games which are happening pre-IPL, the league part, that would be very important. Few matches for all these players who have not had game time over a long period of time to get in touch before the IPL begins.
Yeah, again, I understand it's a red ball format, but getting onto the pitch and playing there would be a great boost. Obviously, yeah.
Considering there are not a lot of players here, where who we talked about Washington Sundar. So I think for Washington Sundar, this might be a very good opportunity, because in the last video when you talked about who are the top spinners for the India, this might be a very good chance for him to perform well in this year's IPL and cement his place as a second or third spinner in the Indian white ball cricket.
Yeah, I do actually see Washi going to the World Cup with India as well. I think is a good prospect, and I agree that this IPL is going to show us what his potential is and how much he can deliver. I think he will do well in this side. He will have more responsibility. But again, that the other thing is that the spin attack of Sunrisers is not that great. I mean, Washi is there, but he's not a traditional. So he's a finger spinner. He can block runs. I'm not sure how many wickets he can pick unless the batsman starts attacking him. Shreyas Gopal is a good domestic spinner, but he has not had the best of records in IPL. Jagdish Suchit, another guy who has been there with the teams. He was with Mumbai. He has been with SRH previously as well. So the spin bowling looks a bit inexperienced. I know that Abdul Samad and Abhishek Sharma can also chip in, and Aiden Markram is looking like a good off spinner in international cricket. I guess he almost stopped KL Rahul from scoring in one of those one days. I mean, for 5 or 6 overs, Markram bowled to Rahul and Rahul couldn't score. So
see, another important aspect here is you have Aiden Markram and you have Washington Sundar, 2 off spinners, and both of them can open the bowling. So you essentially have 2 off spinner who can bowl starting 3 or 4 overs, and then you have Marco Jansen, you have Bhuvneshwar Kumar, you have Natarajan, who are pretty decent in the death.
Yeah, if that's the case, then they would love to rather play in Chennai actually than in Hyderabad. I think Chennai might lose this one whenever the game moves to the home stadiums, and I guess from next year onwards, I guess Hyderabad would be a difficult proposition for Chennai even at their home.
See, to be honest, for Hyderabad, I am pretty confident in their bowling part. I am not too concerned. I am only concerned about the batting part, where if Kane Williamson is not playing and not performing, there you do not have a person who is tying up the top order and the middle order. So that is just one concern for me, because yes, we know how good is Abdul Samad and Abhishek Sharma, but they have not played and performed consistently. And yes, Rahul Tripathi has scored on few odd occasions, but we have not seen a lot of Aiden Markram in IPL. It was only the last season when he came and played few matches for Punjab, but we have not seen a lot of him. So batting is the only concern for me. I'm pretty much confident in the bowling of Hyderabad.
Just one more question before I guess we need to move to the next team as well. We have talked a lot about SRH. Marco Jansen or Sean Abbott, who do you be starting?
I would be starting with Marco Jansen, because Sean Abbott is one of the players who would be much more helpful for me when you have hard wicket, or when the wicket is doing a bit, probably maybe in Mohali or maybe in Wankhede. But other grounds where where the wicket is a bit slow or there is a grip, I would probably go for Marco Jansen.
Yeah, he provides that left arm, but they have Natarajan as well. So it depends whether they are playing Umran, Malik or Natarajan, and then they would pick up. Yeah. So that's it from our side for the first part of this analysis of the IPL auctions and how teams are going. We'll continue this in the second part. Thank you for watching. I would request all of you to please share, subscribe, like, spread the word about the Amateur Commentator, and thank you for watching.